Okay, let's go.
Yeah, so you're a music major.
Yes.
You mainly do piano.
Mhm.
Did you do any other instruments?
I mean, I have some ukuleles. Three.
Oh.
I have three, but they're. I mean, that's more of a side thing. The first one I got when I was like, it was a Christmas present a few years ago, and it was like a crappy one that broke. But
Hmm.
then I have a nicer one, which is like there's four ukulele sizes. There's soprano, alto, tenor, and bass.
Okay.
Soprano is like the regular sort of ukulele, the smaller one. Soprano, alto, and tenor all have the same tuning system. And then there's also baritone, which is it's like a four-string guitar kind of.
Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, I have a baritone and then I also have a tenor, so it's like a regular ukulele but bigger, with the same tuning.
Okay.
So it's pretty neat. Yeah.
But so for school
By
though,
far and away though, it's yeah piano. That's all I really
yeah,
deal with. Yeah.
I figured that much. How does music major work? Like, do you just study the theory or you also play?
It's a big part of its performance. There's also like theory and history too, but it's especially playing. I mean, it's hard to separate them really,
Yeah.
but
So I'm having trouble
yeah,
understanding. You specialize in piano then?
that's right. Yeah, yeah, like piano
So
performance.
that's what it'll say on your degree?
Yeah, it'll say like honors bachelor of music at Carleton, piano performance major. Yeah,
Okay. I
yeah.
understand now. I see. Was there anything else you were looking to do instead of
Not really. I'm not gonna lie, but
interesting? I want
I thought about taking a year off, but yeah, I'm okay.
I took a year off actually. I don't know if it really helped with decision making. I think being immersed actually in it just helps.
Okay.
Hmm. So for your career then, you're
Mm-hmm.
looking to be a piano teacher?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Because you already teach piano.
Mm-hmm.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Okay. Um,
Mhm. What were you saying? Sorry, I'm just a bit tired.
oh, okay.
Um,
Um, yeah, I was just like I could maybe see myself being a piano teacher, but I don't like I'm scared of not having enough people to teach and
Mm-hmm.
running out of clients or
Mm-hmm.
mainly that's just the concern, I guess, or losing passion for it. How do you tackle that then?
How do I like tackle people like dropping clients? Or
Yeah, well, like getting clients, not being concerned with running out of clients.
I mean, the thing is, realistically, you can't like completely guarantee that like that your clients aren't going to leave, right? Realistically,
That's
like
true.
like some of them are going to, but the alternative is going to be like to working in the private sector, right?
Yeah.
And then realistically, if you have a job working for someone else, that's just one person who could say poof, get out, right? And you're fired. So realistically, like you're not like set, I guess, with the alternative of well, like with being able to have like it's possible that everyone could dip, right? Like I'm not saying that, but that's less likely than just one guy saying get out. You kind of see what I'm saying, right?
Yes. Yeah. I was taking piano lessons for the longest time, and then my piano teacher, um, he started losing clients.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, he relied on that solely for income, and it really stressed him out, especially since I was moving to university. He realized he's going to lose another client, and as this generation continues, because there was more people my age, he was going to
Mm-hmm.
lose even more clients. So that really stressed him out, and I don't actually know how he ended up fixing it because like to me it feels like there's less people who want to play piano who want a teacher at least. Like
Mm-hmm.
you can do it on an app, but definitely not the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I would say you're really good at piano.
Okay, thank you.
Like incredibly good. I thought I was decent, but like seeing you play is like insane.
Thank you.
Absolutely incredible. But on that topic of just being really good at something, what would you want to be world class in? Is there anything?
Wow. Like if I could pick one thing.
Yes.
I mean, I guess it depends why more than anything else. I guess like just like as far as my interests go, I guess I would pick piano. I don't know. I wouldn't mind something that like pays a bit more money, but
Well, something like what?
I don't know. I mean, I do like doing like long distance running and stuff. Maybe that, but I think piano first of all. No. Yeah. Yeah, I think realistically piano.
Wow.
I'm nowhere near like world class stuff,
No, I
but yeah, I try.
yeah. I don't even know what world class would look like. But from what I saw, so the reason I say you're so good is because there's people that can play pieces and play difficult pieces well, but it feels like you're on another level where you can play pieces well that are difficult and you don't make mistakes on them. Like even pieces that I know well, I will make a mistake every time I play. There will be a slight mistake. Like I miss a note or I don't even know, mainly just missing a note. But when I heard you play, it was just
I mean,
perfect.
I still make mistakes. They're just smaller.
Much
I mean,
smaller though. Yeah.
the main thing in terms of like protecting mistakes and stuff is like if you mess up like a bunch of notes, but you keep the rhythm intact and you land like the resolution at the end of a phrase, you're cooking. No, I'm serious.
Yeah.
Because like, I mean, honestly, like even people who aren't musicians, that's what they hear, right? They hear the rhythm, even if the notes are a bit messed up, right? The trick is you just have to. You don't want to like give away that it was kind of like oopsie, right? Like, you got to keep going, right? Rhythm first, and then the notes.
I'm pretty bad at that. I played in a band and my orchestra instructor, what do you even call that?
Conductor.
Yeah, the conductor. He said the only thing people remember is the start and the end.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if you mess up in the beginning or in the middle too much, but try not to.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess moving away from piano, I'll just kind of ask you some questions. Yeah, just some questions to understand you better. Where would you want to live for the rest of your life?
Is this like assuming money were not an issue or?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, honestly, if money weren't an issue, I would probably just want to go like build myself a cabin out in the woods and just chill there.
So it doesn't matter what country.
I mean, I wouldn't want to live somewhere that was like too hot or too cold, but that'd be the main thing.
I was thinking also politics of the country.
I mean, I wouldn't want to live somewhere like communist, obviously, right? I mean, yeah.
Right, yeah.
I mean, ideally, I would want somewhere where it's just like very, very small government. But yeah. Country-wise, I'm not sure, honestly. I mean, I'll have to. I'd think about moving to the States. We'll see what happens with Trump, but yeah, somewhere warmer where I can just build a house in the woods.
Hmm.
That'd be the main thing.
I was thinking the States.
Probably the States would be like the first spot to go to,
Yeah.
realistically.
Yeah. Even something like Hawaii.
Yeah, that would be nice.
I heard or I saw an infographic of the population distribution within the states.
Mm-hmm.
And originally Hawaii was really small,
Yeah.
but then there was a bunch
People
of
moved
people.
there,
Yeah,
yeah.
there was a
I believe
bunch
it.
of immigration or migration to
That
Hawaii.
checks. I mean, it's a nice spot. Yeah.
Yeah, and it feels like all the all the rich people just move there because like they have all the money.
They can, right?
Yeah, that's like the ideal place to be.
Yeah.
What do you think of Trump though? You mentioned we'll see how
I
Trump
mean,
goes.
I'm not gonna pretend that I'm like completely over the moon about the guy. I think that he was a much better choice than Kamala. I guess I should start with. Um, I'm really like I'm nervous about the tariffs. I guess like going into the next month. That's I mean, obviously we're Canadian, right? So because the U.S. is such a big trade partner, it's gonna might mess with our economy a lot. I mean, we'll see what happens now because like Pierre Poilievre's trying to like bring the government down in like an emergency vote, and even the NDP now too has said that they're willing to vote, like that they are planning on introducing a vote to bring the government down. So
What do you mean bring the government down?
like a vote of no confidence because it's a minority parliament right now. Like you know that, yeah, yeah.
Not really. I
Okay,
don't understand it.
okay. So in like the Canadian system, we have like there's like it's divided up into ridings, like the whole country, and each riding gets to like send a member to parliament. So there's like 300 and something,
Okay.
and basically, if the prime minister's party has like more than half of them, then the prime minister can basically do whatever he wants, right? Because the people in his party will back it up. What happens is Justin Trudeau doesn't quite have all of them. He has like he's like 12 or 13 short. I can't remember exactly. But what that's meant is that there's the Conservatives, the Bloc, and the NDP that are all kind of like against him, right? Like the other parties, they control more than half if you like smush all the seats together. So basically, he has to get one of them on board with anything he wants to do, right?
Hmm.
And because the Conservatives are like they're way ahead in the polls, right? Obviously, so they're just going to try to bring him down as much as they can, right? And then the Bloc Québécois have also
They're gonna try to bring him down.
yeah, they're so the way they would do that is if all three of the other parties were like we vote to bring like that like we have an election because the prime
Oh,
minister
I
is
see what you're
like
saying.
trash, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm like the Conservatives will obviously support that, right? And then the Bloc have said that they're going to for like the past month and a half as well.
But I don't understand. We're due
and
for an election anyways.
in like in a few months, but like it might be like very very soon. What they're saying
Oh.
because the NDP have also said they're going to introduce that motion. But the thing is, the guy who's the leader of the NDP is going to qualify for his pension as like a member of parliament at like the end of February. So the theory that a lot of people have is that he's just trying to hold out until then, right? Which I mean, like honestly, as much as I'm like kind of pissed about it, I understand like why he would do that. You know, like if I could get like 50 grand annually for the rest of my life, I would probably go for it. You know,
I I don't understand. He just has to hold out, regardless of
basically.
whether he wins or not. He just
So, when you're a member of parliament, if you've held your seat for 6 years or longer, you qualify for a lifetime pension. So he's at like 5 years and 10 months right now. So no, I'm serious. Like that's what he's waiting for.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
I mean, yeah, as much as on like a moral level, I'm like, dude, you can't do that. Like
No.
I totally understand why he would do that. Like 50 grand a year, that's pretty good to not do anything.
Yeah. It's almost human to
Mhm.
do that, but it's definitely unethical.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, he probably wasn't counting on Pierre trying to like re-summon Parliament as an emergency because it's like broken right now. It's closed until like the end of January basically. But Pierre's trying to do like an emergency recall of Parliament so that they can vote it down. But like he wrote the Governor General and stuff. Dude, I don't know what's gonna happen, but we'll see. I mean, Trudeau's also in like a position of weakness, I guess, negotiating with Trump about like the tariffs and stuff, because like Trump knows that Trudeau will be gone within a year, right? So it's
I
like
feel
at that point you don't have that much leverage and stuff.
even if he were to stay though, it feels like Trudeau's been very complacent.
Mhm.
So whatever Trump dictates, he'll follow.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the thing is, we can't have those tariffs. They're gonna wreck our economy. Like we'll see what Pierre's up to, but 25% is completely nuts. I mean, a lot of like conservative commentators have said that Trump is more just planning on using them as a bargaining chip. Like you say 25%, and then you get it down to like 10%, and you
Oh.
extract concessions, right? But like, dude, I don't know. I mean, honestly, as much as it would be bad for Canada's economy, Trump does have a point about Canada having like like America has a big trade deficit with Canada. Like they lose a lot of money from their relationship, so it's like, but we also kind of need it to prop up our economy. So, I mean, there's different sides of the coin, you know.
Yeah.
Um, what was that? Anyway, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I obviously like broadly like the Republican Party's like general values. I'm not gonna deny that really. Like I think having like a hands-off approach to the economy is the best way in general. Like the government
Yeah.
just like shouldn't do too much.
But still should have some role.
Well, I mean, if
Because
you're gonna have at least like laws that you can't kill people and stuff,
yes,
right? Like you
yeah.
need some sort of baseline thing. But I think that in general, it's just like it's just a bit too much. And like frankly, even with things like state-sponsored healthcare, if it's done by the private sector, that's like it'll be more competitive.
Mhm.
Things like that, right? Which can drive down rates.
Yeah. Well, the biggest thing would be in Canada, since it's government subsidized, there's just ridiculous wait times.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
But
yeah, I had to get a surgery a few months ago, and I tried going to Emerge, and it was going to take like 6 months. So I'm like I spent like $1,000 on it instead, right, in order to wait. But yeah, it was
you
just
could do
like,
it private.
yeah, that was what I did.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's like you can do it, but it also puts the private stuff in like, I mean, it puts them in a weird position, right? Just like having to compete
Yeah.
with the public sector and stuff, right?
Cool. I didn't realize you could still do private in Canada.
You can, yeah. There's some like clinics and stuff, but yeah.
So the downside is you just have to pay even more than you would in the States, for example.
I mean, I'm not sure how it compares to the States. It's more that you're just, I mean, you have to pay for it versus I mean, it's not that you're not paying for it, but it's covered by the public, right? Like public funding, right? So, not free, you know.
Yeah.
Don't confuse that.
Did you ever look into, so right before we were gonna do this podcast, or I guess not right before, but like a few hours before, I was thinking of new topics. I was thinking a lot about conspiracy theories,
Okay.
controversies. Like, what does it even constitute to be a conspiracy theory? Because there's a lot of things that are,
Well, yeah, I mean, the thing about it is there are a lot of things that people will say that are conspiracy theories and then they've turned out to be true,
yes,
right?
yeah,
So it's like,
that seem completely absurd.
I mean, I think it's, I guess the conspiracy aspect is maybe like unhelpful. It's better just to say it's a theory, right? Because like, I mean, unless you can disprove it, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Because conspiracy basically just means against the majority opinion.
Well, yeah, but like sometimes the majority opinion sucks.
Yeah.
Like, dude, there was like slavery was like normal like for centuries and centuries. Like, I mean, obviously that's kind of like a lazy example to pick, but like you get the idea.
Yeah, I was thinking of the John McAfee, where he was. Have you heard of this?
I don't think
So
so.
he was the creator of the McAfee antivirus. That maybe I'm butchering the story, but he did something for the Spanish authorities to be against him, and he got extradited to Spain for some reason. Yeah, he was arrested in Spain. And then the US found a way to get him, no, sorry, extradited to the US.
Okay. Yeah.
And so they they managed to get a deal where John McAfee, the day before he was going to get extradited to the US, he was in prison, and then all of a sudden he just commits suicide. Like literally the day before.
Wow. Okay.
And it's like it was incredibly suspicious, but it ended up just amounting to nothing. It's like, oh, I guess he just committed suicide, yeah. And his wife is still on a campaign to, I don't even know, honor his name? Like what? Go against the Spain government? How? Yeah.
Is he just trying to do like a lawsuit for money or just like advocate for his like legacy or something?
Yeah, at least get some compensation, I guess.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm not too sure.
That makes sense.
It was a while that I looked into it, but it was like 2019, I think, that it happened.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty recent. But things like that, and even in the U.S., like, what's it, Watergate?
Oh yeah, with Nixon.
Yeah. It's like common knowledge, but it's like nobody can really do anything. Like I know that's true, but oh well.
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, everyone's just kind of moved on. It's like, I mean, it's not great, but whatever.
Well, things that I was thinking, like things that are still present that you know about. The biggest example that I can think of, and this is going to be more down the conspiracy
That's okay.
theory avenue.
What is that?
But there was this podcast that I listened to of Joe Rogan with Bob Lazar. And so the reason I found it, I haven't heard of Bob Lazar before, but I obviously heard of Joe Rogan, and I was thinking, what is Joe Rogan's most popular podcast? Surely that's worth listening to. So I filtered it by most popular, and it turned out to be Bob Lazar, and I was completely confused. Who is this guy? So I watched it. It was with Bob Lazar and some other guy. So they made a documentary about kind of what Bob Lazar was going through. And turns out Bob Lazar graduated from MIT. He was recruited by the US government, specifically the government that dealt with like Area 51, I guess.
Yeah.
And he was in Section S, I think is what he calls it. Area S, something like that. And in that area, his whole job was to reverse engineer some foreign object that they had no idea how it worked. And the way he describes it is it was like the size of a football, I think. And it was just like this, I think he was like metal, described it as metalish.
Okay.
And what was so perplexing was it had an anti-gravity property. So yeah, I mean like just yeah. Now of course you hear it from me and it sounds absurd, but the way he describes it, and obviously he's more intelligent than me. He knows what he's actually talking about when he's describing this. I'm like just basically mentioning what he said. He's very confident in what he says and what he believes, and there's kind of proof to back it up too, because you can't find really anything conclusive about him. And he's saying like, oh, the government's just out to get me and they've just redacted all my information. But then it's like you can actually look into it and it's like, well, that could be true because I'm not getting any information on this guy.
Yeah.
That was the most mind-blowing thing that I encountered. That was somewhat like a conspiracy theory. Yeah.
I mean, there was some stuff with, I don't know, I don't want to like get canceled or whatever, but like, I mean, a lot of the stuff with COVID about like how the masks were like kind of whatever.
Mm.
I mean, even just like I guess it's not so much a conspiracy, but like general resentment, you know, just like back in like 2020 and 2021, just like that all the masks and stuff were just like a bit too much and that they weren't really that effective. I mean, frankly, like as someone who got COVID like 3 times, honestly, I would have rather gotten it like 10 times than spend those 2 years locked up. Like,
yeah,
like I'm going to be completely honest.
Yeah, they're saying that. Like,
I mean, it's not really a conspiracy, but it's a hot take, you know? Yeah.
Jordan Peterson was talking about how it really diminished our education level.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
because those 2 years affected everyone who is still under, well, basically everyone, even in university institutions.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, you can't learn as much just like watching like projector slideshows and stuff. It's ridiculous.
And there's just cheating rampant during that time.
Yeah.
So it didn't even matter if you learned it.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of students don't, like, I mean, it's just about passing the course, right?
Yeah.
It's like who cares if you know the material?
Yeah.
I mean, frankly, with a lot of places like Carleton, it's not, I mean, they're just like trying to train everyone to be like left-wing idiots, right? They're not really like trying to make everyone smarter. No, I'm serious. Like, I mean,
I don't see that too much in.
Yeah, I guess it made it.
STEM.
Yeah, that checks out actually. But like in like humanities and arts, it's.
But I saw my course notes, my course overview.
Yeah.
And it said the land acknowledgement.
Okay.
That was like the second thing in the slide.
I would imagine there's probably like some university policy they like have to do that or something. But
exactly.
Yeah, it's.
But the fact that it's university policy.
That's true. I mean, you know, what do you expect? I mean, with where am I going with this? It's. I mean, Carleton's just the way it is. You know, it's good with STEM because it's a little bit more like an objective field to talk about, right?
Yeah, we rarely encounter any, like that was the only thing that was really controversial.
Okay. Yeah.
But you experienced that more.
Well, I mean, it's a music program, right? So there's. I mean, it's not like the highest caliber program in the world, I guess, for lack of a better term. So it's like, there's definitely some people who got in on like DEI kind of. Like you
Oh,
can tell that they're not that good. And I don't know, maybe we should cut this from the video. But no, I'm serious. Like there are some people who are like kind of trash. It's like yeah,
huh.
where it's like you obviously just got admitted because they're trying to like be diverse or whatever. But yeah,
I actually looked at that recently, the DEI type of thing that we have in Canada.
yeah,
So turns out in the States,
yeah.
I
It's been banned by the Supreme Court.
yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
I learned about that very recently.
I mean, honestly, good. And like, I,
I
I
yeah,
mean,
I
I don't
agree.
understand like how what the procedure would be to like ban it in Canada, but I hope here does the same.
Well, the thing is, it's not in the States. It was mainly just education, the universities
That's true. I
that
mean,
had to ban it.
that's at least what we're talking about in Canada, right? But
Well, not
it's
only
more deep seated. Yeah,
it's also in employees or like employment
that's
just in
true.
general.
Yeah. I mean, it's so dumb though, because like, I mean, if you're like discriminating based on any factor besides merit, you're gonna
Mhm.
merit goes down, right? Like what do you expect? You
Yeah,
know?
yeah. I was thinking the best candidate would just be the best candidate regardless of
Yeah,
race
exactly.
or gender.
Yeah.
Now, I was also thinking about this too. So, would you still want, let's say, the best candidates, for example, in the government, would all be male? Hypothetically, we'll say the best candidates are all male. Would you still need to have, or would you still want to have a female candidate that is less, like, what does it even mean to be less good? But we'll say less,
I mean, so supposing we can ground what good is
yeah.
in some way, yeah. Which
Um,
is a difficult thing. But yeah. Anyway.
so less valid of a candidate, but have that representation of being female.
I mean,
Um,
honestly, what's gonna be good for like I mean, assuming that the men are as you said gonna do like what is good, whatever we actually mean by that, you know, but like assuming we can establish what that is. I would rather have like ideal policy than have like
the ideal candidate
yeah, exactly.
rather than have
Like I mean,
a
frankly,
female
what makes
representation.
the ideal candidate would be their policies. Like I don't care if you're like a green frog or whatever. Like like if you're gonna make good government policy,
A
it's
Korean
let's do
frog?
it. I
Is
said
that what
a
you?
green frog, but yeah.
Oh, a
Well,
green
I'm not,
frog.
I'm just like making some stuff up, but
Fuck.
you know, just like I don't care if you're like an inanimate object. I mean, obviously, like no, like they couldn't do that, but you know, like I don't care who you are. I care what you do. I guess is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I could see that. I like what I was running into. It's very hard to kind of say in this hypothetical situation because then you start being grounded into reality and
Yeah,
not having these optimizations.
yeah,
But I was thinking you also have like if you don't have that the female perspective, then you run into issues where you're gonna only be looking through the lens of um, like a male, and
yeah,
obviously we're gonna like this is sounding more like really what's it all inclusive and
yeah.
DEI, but I somewhat understand the argument now, where it's like I acknowledge there's gonna be things that I neglect because I'm just not female.
Yeah, there's some truth to that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess that kind of gets back to like, okay, what is the ideal candidate, right? Like
Yeah.
maybe you need a bit of a mix up. I mean, I guess the issue I have with that in terms of like the DEI stuff is like I'm from like a rural county, right? So we've had the same member of parliament since like 2000 or something. But anyway, she's a woman, but she's like one of the most like conservative politicians you're gonna yeah, Cheryl Gallant's her name, if you want to look her up. Uh, where I'm,
Shit.
Cheryl Gallant, yeah,
Cheryl Gallant.
yeah, Cheryl Gallant. Where
Oh
I'm
my
going
god.
with that is basically that. I mean, like, yeah, she's a woman, but there are plenty of like left wing sort of pro DEI people who are like, no, I don't like her, right? So it's like, I don't think it's so. I guess I think the people advocating that sort of thing, it's not so much about just like a woman for a woman's sake. It's much more just like about what they think, like what woman would like do in
That's
theory,
true.
right?
So I asked my friend about this. What because the biggest thing for the election was differentiating what Trump was optimal at and what Kamala Harris was
Yeah,
optimal at. And you could easily say Trump is good for the economy.
He's much better for
Like
it's not even close.
there's really no disagreement with that. But then you look at Kamala Harris and like what attributes is she bringing to the table?
I mean, she's not like 80 years old. That's a start.
Yeah.
You know?
And I asked my friend, and jokingly he said, DEI. Like
Yeah.
DEI, I
Well, I
guess.
mean, honestly, I think she was just kind of a like a blank slate for just like the bland Democrat platform. I mean, frankly, Biden was the same, but you know,
Yeah, I feel like Biden.
Kamala was more like an overt appeal to the DEI people versus Biden's just like saying the right words. You know?
Yeah, I think we were talking about this earlier too, and you were saying basically she just sat back from the limelight.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
just,
exactly.
And then all of a
I
sudden
mean,
it was
no one
thrusted on
liked
her.
her when she was VP, right? And then like, yeah, I mean, it's just because like the Democrats are like, okay, we need to like do something, right? Like
Yeah.
Biden's obviously not going to win, right? So then it gives you something to rally behind at least, because like, yeah, she's not super old.
Were you the one who said that even Biden didn't support Kamala Harris?
Well,
I heard that somewhere.
one of his arguments that when people were asking him why he hadn't dropped out like after the debate when his numbers were tanking and stuff was because there were polls about like a hypothetical with Trump versus Kamala where Kamala was like way down. But it's because people hadn't like, I mean, I guess they hadn't really considered it. It's just like
Yeah.
you need someone to rally behind who isn't like, I mean, Biden's just a weak man, right? You can't have the most powerful person in the world like not be like not have cognitive function. Like that's no, I'm serious. Like,
Yeah, I agree.
yeah.
But then you have the other spectrum where Trump is like literally just he says whatever he wants.
I mean, honestly, I mean, I was listening to an interview Trump did with some reporter a few days ago, and honestly, I would rather a politician who's like honest than one who
Oh, yeah,
that
that's
like
true.
I would rather someone who's like an open book, even if I don't like what they say sometimes. Like I mean, but Biden told everyone during the election campaign, he's like, no, I'm not going to pardon my son. Nuh-uh, no, never, not going to do it, right? And then once he hasn't won and there's like no political ramifications because the election is over, he's like, okay, here come all the pardons, right? And I mean, like honestly, I'm not gonna fault him for the pardon itself. Well, like it's a son,
That's-
right?
yeah,
like,
that's
I
pretty
like so
human.
I like I don't know. Yeah. I mean, maybe like a blanket pardon is too much, but for like specific actions or whatever. But yeah, like I totally get where he's coming from.
Yeah,
I mean, part of that too is because they like opened up the justice system against Trump. It's like all the cards are on the table now, right? Because like before it was like, okay, you don't really like prosecute your political enemies. That's kind of like a threat to democracy, as people say, you know, right? But now that that's off the table, it's like, okay, we got to like pardon everyone and stuff, you know? No, I'm serious, because like, I mean,
I didn't see that perspective from it.
like Trump's saying he's not gonna go after like the people who were like trying to do that, but I mean, I think that's a good thing, but you know, we'll see what actually happens whenever the Democrats win next time. But yeah,
How do you think World War III would go down?
I mean, maybe we're already in it right now. We'll have to see. Just like some hypothetical World War III.
No. What the most likely situation to cause World War III?
Okay.
So I'll let you think on that.
I mean, I don't
Okay.
think we're like super close to it in the near future, I guess, but probably some sort of US-China thing. Maybe US-Russia. I could see something where it's like a broad Europe.
But you
Well,
don't
like-
know the
like-
specific.
No, maybe like Europe and like North America versus like Russia and China or something, right? Like something like that. Like I don't know. It depends what happens in Ukraine in part. Because I mean, Trump has said that he's gonna like end the war. Dude, I have no idea like what's actually gonna happen. But
Whoa.
yeah, I mean, we'll have to see. But it's like, I mean, if the war drags on forever, like
So Trump stands with Ukraine?
I mean, like he wants them to win, is my understanding. But yeah, I think he's gonna try to like force them both to the negotiating table somewhat. So I mean, I don't know what that actually means, but yeah.
I've heard like standing for Ukraine is generally the
I mean, I don't like hope Ukraine falls. I just think they need to like figure out a way to resolve the war. Because you can't just like fight each other indefinitely.
Yeah. I feel like that's
You know, it's, I mean, I'm not a politician, right?
yeah,
It's, I'm just a spectator.
yeah. I think like Putin's stance on it was just he's willing to fight it indefinitely and just drain Ukraine because Russia has
Well, I
the
mean,
resources.
yeah, I mean, Ukraine's only able to hold up because the West is propping it up.
Yeah.
I mean, one thing that Trump has said is that he wants the other like NATO countries to contribute more because America's like over contributing and like they're just cool with that, right? But it's like realistically, people should be paying their fair share, right? So I mean, it's the same thing with the Ukraine war, frankly, especially because like I mean, there's like a giant ocean between Russia and the States. So like you know, the European countries need it. Like they need the war to be fought a little bit more than, or at least they need Russia to be stopped. Or you know, it's like who knows? Maybe he'll go. Like, I don't know. Maybe Putin will try to conquer the world. You know, maybe that'll be World War III. Yeah.
Hmm.
Probably not, but we'll see.
My friend was saying that he was looking into microchips for. No, he was just into microchips, just because, and then it came up for an assignment, and he was explaining it to me how Intel and AMD. Are you familiar with
No,
those? Okay,
no.
so basically the main two brands all take their chips from this one place. I forget the name of the place, but it's in Taiwan.
Taiwan, okay.
So basically all the chips that are manufactured, or like a ridiculous portion, like 90, more than 90% or something like that, are come from this one company, from just like this one place. And now China is trying to get access of that place. So if China manages to get access, or like basically restrict it to only Chinese, then you have a problem with US, literally the entire world.
Yeah.
Because now how are we going to get microchips? How is Intel
Yes.
going to
Yeah.
manufacture the microchips if it's only them? And they have it patented and incredibly secret. So much so that the Chinese, apparently, from what I've heard, poach employees from the time who know at least part of the manufacturing
Yep.
process, so that they can get some sort of semblance of these microchips,
Yep.
just because they're so powerful. So he was arguing that that's the cause of World War III. If China gets full control over that, there's no way we can end up creating electronics.
Yeah. We'll see, I guess.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. A fun way to go down. Okay, you read
I try.
some interesting things.
I try. You know, you'll see my books later.
Okay.
Yeah.
I remember the one time
Yeah. You haven't been to my place before, have you?
No.
No. Okay.
you were talking about, oh man, you should read Shakespeare.
Dude, read. Okay, no, I'm serious. I mean, like, obviously, I'm hardly the first person to say this, but like, okay, read Shakespeare's sonnets. Everyone who's watching this, read them. Read the first 17. Okay, read the rest of them too, but like, especially the first 17. Yeah,
What about the plays?
the plays. I mean, like, obviously, the plays are chill, right? In terms of favorites, when I was a kid, I did like a bunch of abridged Shakespeare performances with I was in like a homeschooler group where they were abridged, right? But it's just like kids doing simplified versions of them. So we did one of Macbeth, Julius Caesar, and then A Midsummer Night's Dream. I remember as well. And then there are a couple of others, but I can't remember them all.
Why do people say he's a genius?
I mean, he just writes pretty words, you know. I mean,
Is the plot just
I don't know,
incredible?
bro. I mean, for me at least, it's more the language than anything else. Like even with the sonnets, I've found, which is more what I've like spent a good deal of time with. I would say at least for me, I find the language to be like the most compelling thing. Like some of the ideas, even if it's not like his own, he just finds like a pretty way to say it. Like if you okay, I can give an example. Like if you read Sonnet 30, it's 14 lines. You can basically just sum up the first 12 lines as like, okay, I feel sad, and then the last two lines are like, but then I think about you, and then I'm happy. Like I'll show it to you later. But
I think that's the
yeah,
one that you showed me.
No, I was like 17, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, but the guy's just like whining about how everything's terrible, and he's like, "But then I think about you, and it's okay," right? So it's like I mean that by itself isn't like an original thought per se, but he finds a really beautiful way to say it, you know. So at least for me, it's more the language than the ideas. But I'm not gonna say the ideas are like poor because I don't think they are.
So it's not really the novelty of it not being original or like being original at
It's
the time.
the words are just so pretty. Like that's more
Hmm.
the good for me. I'm not like an expert for Shakespeare anyway,
Okay.
but it's that's just where I what I get the most out of.
Do you think there could be a genius equivalent to Shakespeare, or even better, in modern time?
I think it's possible. Yeah, I mean we've got a lot of idiots nowadays, but I wasn't around in like in Shakespeare's time to see what like the common man was like. So it's hard to say because we tend to remember like very remarkable people. I mean, like we don't know like who's alive today is going to be remembered in like 500 years. I mean, we have like some names, right? But like people our age who have like we're some of us are going to make something of ourselves. A lot of us won't. We'll see. But yeah, it's like I mean, he was very good. We'll see. Honestly, like I don't know. It'd be cool if we did have some better words, but like some words, better poetry. But we'll have to see.
Well, what I was thinking is a lot of it is I haven't read much of Shakespeare, just the mandatory readings from
Okay. Yeah.
classes.
Yeah.
And it seems to me that at least the plot is very cliche, but it's only cliche because it was original when
Because it was
Shakespeare.
adopted afterwards.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And the words are hard to understand since
I mean,
we don't speak like that
yeah.
anymore.
I mean, it's because our language has evolved, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you have to learn like some of the vocabulary and stuff, right? But that's
But
okay.
what I was saying is the reason you can say the words are so pretty is because we no longer use them.
I mean, not
So if you
I
were
wouldn't
to
quite say that because there is like other poetry and stuff from the time like that we don't still read, right? Like I mean, even if like there's some of it that's been preserved that we're like whatever, bro, you know. So I get what you're saying though, right? There's definitely that sense of novelty.
yeah, that that idea of I forget what it's called. Like what's it? Sanctity, like holiness almost, just because it's old, it's antique.
That's
Like
true.
it
Yeah.
turns out, I saw this very recently. The researchers were doing a I don't know, a study in law and law books, and they looked at the language that law books used. Since it was so convoluted, they studied whether the language was actually necessary to convey the message, and they
It's usually not, I would argue.
no
Like reading legal language. I mean, it's not pretty, but that's not really the point. It's more just to be silly, I guess.
to seem like you have an authority.
Yeah.
So that's the result that they came up with, and they called it the magic the magic spell hypothesis, something like that.
Okay.
It was kind of silly to read, but I mean, it seems obvious.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of people don't really think too much about like politicians and stuff. Which I mean, like frankly, there's only so much we can do like outside of an election season anyway. So I can understand like not wanting to like ruin your life about it. Like just like sitting there wasting away about like the evils of the world. Like eventually Justin Trudeau is not going to be the prime minister anymore. All we can really do is wait. There are people like Pierre Poilievre who can like kind of push and whatever.
Mm.
But like ultimately the political party leaders have to like unite against Trudeau, or it'll be like, or the October 2025 election will come, right? And I mean that's not that far away at this point anyway.
No, not at all. Oh, but what I was asking, the books that you've read,
Yeah.
from them, is there any that have changed your life, at least impacted it?
Okay. I mean, I want to say no, but also kind of yes. It impacted, yeah. I mean, I've read like music history books, a lot of that, and like theory, so that's definitely been, I guess, useful. in, I mean, just like I teach piano for work, right? Obviously. So it helps to, I mean, it helps me to like understand better. It makes me like, I mean, better at what I do. Um, I wouldn't call it so much as like, it's not like revolutionary, maybe in like a change, but it's more like evolutionary, for lack of a better term, right? Like it's just, it's kind of like helping you along like further along the path you're already on, as opposed to
Okay.
like taking you somewhere else. Beyond that, I guess like history too, but even that, it's more just like, I mean, it's useful to understand like why society has become the way it is and stuff like versus in the past, like to understand all the different roads we've gone down and whatever. But I guess like in terms of who I am as a person, I don't think it's really fundamentally changed me. Sorry, that was a long answer,
No,
but yeah,
no, that's
yeah,
fine. Yeah, because you're mainly just reading piano books to get better at piano.
yeah. I mean, it's a lot of it. It's more like history and stuff, just to kind of understand what
The history?
like music history. Sorry,
Okay,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, like biographies and stuff. I mean, theory helps too, but
Mm,
it helps you to like understand what sort of people like these people were, what the styles were at the time,
mm.
things like that.
So I probably should have mentioned this earlier. I feel like it would have been a good introductory topic.
Sure.
I'll just mention it though. I liked how you were when I first met you, or I guess maybe the second time that I met you
Oh
at,
yeah,
at
at
the party.
at, at Dylan's, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you seemed really transparent, and from that you inspired me to be more transparent.
Okay, okay.
Were you always that transparent?
Honestly, no. Like when I was, especially when I was in high school, I was really like concerned about like offending people, right?
Yeah.
Like I would think too much about what I'm saying, you know. I think a big part of I guess how I've grown as a person, I've realized like if someone disagrees with me, like that's fine. I'm comfortable enough with my ideas to like try to defend them. And I mean, if I'm wrong, then I'll know that I'm wrong, and then I can like learn from that, obviously. But I mean, at the end of the day, what other people think doesn't matter that much, and like there isn't that much utility in trying to get someone else to like you, frankly.
I feel like there is.
I mean, it depends who the person is, but just like trying to make everyone like you isn't like you can't make everyone like you.
No.
You're gonna like if you something that makes one person happy will often make someone else pissed off, right? Like you're gonna have to like ultimately pick your battles, pick your friends. Like a friend to all is a friend to none. I mean, a big part of it too is like you need to be able to like agree to disagree, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm like lots of people at the chess club know that I'm like not really on board with like a lot of the left wing stuff. But we still get along with that, right? Like they're not going to change my mind, but that's okay. We can still play chess and have a good time.
Yeah. And they're still willing to have a friend that has opposing views.
Exactly. Yeah. Like yeah, same thing with with Dylan when we got the shawarma. Yeah, you remember
No.
a little bit. That was in like the election season. Remember like for James's birthday with the lasagna and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That time, were you still there? Maybe
Yeah.
you'd gone home.
What happened?
We were just like talking about politics. Like I mean, we were talking about like immigration in Canada specifically.
Oh,
How,
the
how it's kind
guy.
of got yeah, how it's kind of gotten out of hand. Because what he was saying was he's like I'm from the Philippines and like well like he says he's like oh they just like hate people from the Philippines or whatever. I don't know if he said exactly that, but like something along those lines.
In
I mean,
Canada.
basically what I told him was like, dude, I have no problem with people from the Philippines. It's like a broad demographic group. We just can't bring all of them here, right? Like it's not feasible for our economy, right? And then he's like, yeah, you know what? I totally understand that, right? I mean, I think that's part of where the like misunderstanding is with social media and stuff. A lot of people just kind of get like caught in their own bubble. Like the algorithm will just feed them
Yes.
content to like push them further down,
More extreme
whatever their
content
rabbit
too.
hole is, right? So it
And so you
like
you
like
end up
like like people who are like who think we should have less immigrants, they're not racist. They're just thinking about the economy, right? And that's fine. And
well, some of them are racist.
yeah, but that's true.
But not me.
I mean
Not me.
most of us aren't, right? So yeah, I mean, it's just like Dylan may not have like heard someone actually like express the why. Like you just hear the opinion and then kind of infer
Yeah.
based on what YouTube tells you, which isn't a great way to go about things. But yeah,
Yeah, the climate change that the liberals implemented, that was a big thing actually.
like
Because
the
I just
carbon tax.
yeah, the
Yeah,
carbon tax.
yeah,
Because I just heard carbon tax and I thought, well, that's so stupid. Like, why I shouldn't be taxed on using carbon. But then I was much later explained that it's actually a tax on everyone, but it gets redistributed.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Money.
the thing is, if you, I mean, they're basically like a big part of it is like they'll say they have the rebates, which like most like the people who earn less are gonna like get more back. The thing is, when you have the carbon taxes to like ship food to produce, well, not even food, but just like goods more broadly, like when you're going to increase the cost of production like inevitably, right, for gas and stuff, that just gets passed on to consumers, right?
Yeah.
Either that or the domestic industries are going to become like uncompetitive, right? Because they have all these taxes, which means you're going to ship in foreign goods, and that like so what are you doing for the economy at that point, right?
Yeah.
Like
But
if you're making it better to sell imports, like,
my
think about that.
impression was that it wasn't too much on the employers or the companies. It was more on the people.
Well, yeah, exactly, because like it's true. Yeah, maybe a company is gonna have to like pay an extra tax or whatever, but they're just like they're gonna have to just raise the cost of their goods to
No,
cover that, right? Like you wonder like
maybe I was.
if you're selling something and the production cost
I
goes
understand
up,
that. Yeah.
right? Like then you have to charge more for it to be profitable.
Maybe I was just misinformed where or misinterpreted the idea where it was like it wasn't mainly the companies that were being taxed. It was just mainly the people. So there was like a lower tax on the companies. But no, I
That
could be
that
completely.
may be the case.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, like
I could be
if
wrong.
with a company that's selling something, right? Like they're just gonna end up passing the cost on to consumers,
Yeah.
right? So like yeah, tax on the company beyond like whatever a reasonable number is, it's just gonna get like the if the industry isn't profitable, it'll disappear, right? And then at that point, we're shipping in imports, which like
Mhm.
at that like I thought we were trying to like help the economy, like not import stuff. We need to source locally, So no, I'm serious. Like it's whatever. I mean, it's just a source of revenue for the government more than anything else. But
You think so?
I think so. I mean
Because
that's all these fucking taxes are.
from what I
Yeah.
understood, the taxes, like none of it touched the government. Everything went back to the people.
Okay.
So, yeah, as I was saying, the way it was described to me is basically the person who produced the most carbon would not basically get no rebates. And then
Okay.
as you produced less, you'd get more rebates. So it ended up being that the average consumer of carbon got a rebate. It was
Okay.
just those outliers that were incredibly heavy producers of or
I
heavy
mean,
consumption
yeah.
of carbon.
I mean, realistically, at that point, you're talking more about like corporations and stuff who are like shipping all sorts of things,
No,
right?
but not talking about corporations.
Like just
Like, yeah.
individuals. Okay. How do they track everyone's carbon footprint?
Um,
Like,
I can't remember how.
I guess we'll never know.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I guess in theory that would be a cool idea, but
Yeah.
I'm not
It
sure how
was
practical it is.
it was a really cool idea
Like unless
until
you have like a microchip on everyone, I don't know, maybe they want to do that. Like, you know.
oh, I think the way was you had to prove like same with taxes, you
Yeah.
have to prove that you used all of this gas, you used all of this carbon, so you get this rebate.
Okay.
Actually, that makes less sense because then you could just not submit as much carbon
Yeah.
receipts.
Yeah. Because yeah, they're just asking you to incriminate yourself at the end of the day. Like, whatever though.
I think a big part of it was basically just households' energy expenditure. Again, though, I don't know how they calculated that
I mean,
and tracked it to like
yeah.
each person.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's feasible to. I mean, I'm glad that Pierre's going to get rid of it, but it should help our
Well, the
economy.
biggest problem too was like even if that worked perfectly or that worked good enough, what Trudeau implemented later on was he needed more votes.
Yeah.
At least this is the general consensus. He needed more votes. So in Alberta specifically, so what he saw was people in Alberta who were using these um, basically oil or something. Like it was oil to heat up their house.
Yeah.
Like ridiculous carbon emissions. He would basically exclude them and say, no, that's fine. You can just go ahead because that's
Because he wants
necessary
them.
to live.
Yeah. He did the same thing as like like Newfoundland or New Brunswick. I don't know, some like somewhere in the Maritimes, he gave them like a carbon tax break, just like to
That
buy
yeah,
votes, basically.
that might have been
You know,
it.
that's how politicians are.
Yeah, and it feels so obvious too. Like nobody really sees through that and says like, oh, actually, he's a humanitarian.
Yeah. Alrighty.
We are at almost the 1 hour mark.
Let's keep going. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. What are your thoughts on Jordan Peterson?
I mean, I'm not gonna like endorse everything the guy has ever said. I guess would be the the safe place to start.
Yeah,
I
that's fair.
mean, I think he I think he has like broadly good ideas about like I don't know, I don't want to like say something that'll get me canceled or whatever, but like I think his ideas about gender are like broadly good and like people should take them a bit more seriously.
What
Like
specifically?
well, I mean, he said he thinks that like the distinction between like man and woman has been completely abandoned, and that like he thinks it's like the most fundamental distinction we have, ultimately.
Do you think it's important for men to be masculine and
Yeah, I do.
okay?
I mean, we've been doing it forever, and like read the first 17 of Shakespeare's sonnets. Like people need to have children.
How do
Like,
you rationalize that men need to be masculine and females need to be
well, I
feminine?
mean, we just like have our natural drives to do that. And I mean, it just goes like against my moral intuitions, like the
Right.
trans stuff,
I
frankly.
so
Which like I don't have a better grounding for that than
yeah.
that, but I also don't really have a better grounding than that for any other like ethical claim I might make, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Because I felt like the same position as you where I couldn't really rationalize it, but it felt like it was just the best thing.
yeah, I mean it's like we have the drives to do what we do, and that's that, you know.
Hmm.
I mean, I guess I wouldn't say that like people should just like do whatever they feel driven to do like at any given moment. But I mean like that's how we've built the culture that we have, like from men being strong, right? Um,
So you think culture will deteriorate if we have females that are strong, well, like strong in the sense of taking the roles of men and
I
yeah,
mean, I guess. Oh yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
taking the roles that are generally considered to be masculine, and then men taking on the roles that are generally considered to be feminine.
I mean, I think it's okay to like there's always going to be men who have like more feminine interests and women
Sure.
with more masculine ones. Um, I think that trying to have like a like have it like totally 50-50 and pretend that we're exactly the same is not really like a good way to go about it. Yeah, does that make sense? Like I'm not saying like oh all women should just like go like nurse their babies and like sweep the floor and whatever, like wash the dishes. Like it's totally okay for women to like go out and like earn a living and stuff. There's nothing wrong with that. But we do still need to realize that like I mean we're different as men and women, right?
Yeah.
I mean yeah, a lot of the trans stuff has just gotten a little bit nuts. Like it's starting to calm down, but it's like I mean
Yeah.
people are
I
saying
guess
that
so.
it's good for kids to do it. Like
Oh my god.
like there isn't even like solid data that like the argument that they'll say is like suicide prevention, but there isn't solid data that actually does that.
Hmm.
It's like kids are stupid. Like they believe all sorts of dumb crap. Like when I was 12, like bro, no,
I was thinking, what would it be like growing up now, like as a kid?
I mean
Because that's heavily
it would
indoctrinated.
depend a lot on who your parents were. I think like how much they're able to like just like be normal people.
Well, not even
Like,
normal people, because if you're okay with your child seeing all of this like propaganda,
yeah,
which is
yeah,
basically what it
yeah. No,
is,
it is. Yeah.
that's still gonna influence you as a child. Like I didn't see that at all
Yeah.
during my childhood. I like even gay
Well,
was
yeah. I mean, when you're a kid, you just kind of like accept what's told you for the most part, unless you have like a really good reason to reject it. But yeah, like when we were kids, like even being gay was considered like kind of odd, you know.
mm-hmm.
And I mean, I still do think that it. I don't know if I would say that I think it's like immoral or whatever, but I think it doesn't have like a lot of social utility. I guess
That's true.
is more the
That's
thing, right?
the
Like yeah,
Mick McConnell.
I
What's
don't
his
know.
name?
I mean like religion aside, it's like I don't know. Like I don't think you should like go to jail or whatever if you're gay, but it's kind of a weird thing to celebrate, you know.
Yeah, like I was referencing the video that you sent me. Who's the atheist?
Alex O'Connor, yeah.
Alex O'Connor. Okay, the debate between
Yeah.
Alex O'Connor and Ben Shapiro.
Did you
That's
watch the whole thing?
I
Yeah.
didn't watch the entire thing. I should though now that I have time. But that was no, I guess it was in a different video where Ben Shapiro argued there was no social utility for
Yeah.
being gay.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because like I mean that's why we have like, I mean with institutions like marriage, it's like encourage people to have families, right? That's I mean that's more the case than anything else. Like if I mean even if you're in a straight relationship, I don't think that like if you don't want to have kids, like there isn't that much like what does society benefit from that, right? I mean that's not to say
The
that everyone should have like 12 kids or whatever, right? It's just you have to think about the different. I mean you have to people need to think about their futures and stuff. Like read the first 17 of Shakespeare's sonnets. Everyone who watches this, read them. No, it's they're all about like he's encouraging a young man to have children. I'll show them
Sure.
once we're home. But
I
yeah,
was just thinking like I rewatched this and then I have to go read the all 17 Shakespeare songs.
it won't take you that long. Don't worry.
Oh, but you touched on having children though. Have you heard of the threat of population collapse?
Like the like things just go down too much.
How
Like
it's
I guess like
I've
with
heard
like the boomers gonna die out in the next few decades and things like that.
yes.
Okay.
How it's it could be imminent.
Yeah, I mean it's probably gonna go down. I mean I don't have like hard numbers on this,
No, I don't know.
but I mean in a sense it's good to have like less retired people. But it's I mean, people today also just like aren't having as many children as like was considered normal for most of history.
Yeah.
And I mean, I do think that that's a problem, frankly. Like, I mean, I'm not saying like, oh, everyone has to have like a ton of kids, right? Again, but I do think that like generally we're better off if like most people are doing that. And it's also like it just gives you like some sort of like purpose for your life external to yourself, right? Because I
Yeah, I
mean, like
agree with
lots of
that.
people today would just like smoke weed and play video games, and I mean, they do like, yeah.
Yeah, that is true.
In terms of Jordan Peterson, I guess some of the things he's said about more like religion and stuff, he'll often like kind of dress up the things he says in metaphor, like when people are asked about like
Yeah.
like you've seen some of
I
the
know
videos I think
exactly
like
what you're saying.
yeah
It becomes hard to follow.
yeah like people will ask him like, oh, do you believe that like Jesus actually rose from the dead, and he's like, what do you mean by actually, or whatever, like
I
what do you mean
act as if
rise
God
from the dead,
exists.
right? Yeah, it's like there I like you get what I'm saying though. He'll be like, I believe that Jesus rose from the dead, but then he'll kind of like redefine all of the terms, right? So it's like, okay, I don't really understand what you mean, like at a certain point, you know? Yeah, like with the whole like acting as if God exists, we all do. Like I mean, I'm agnostic more than anything else. I would like I'm not like committed to the idea of atheism, but I guess I find it more probable than like any particular religion. But I'd still give it like 50-50 that there's like some sort of God or no. But I mean that's just my intuition. Um, you saw in the video like Ben Shapiro said in like the first like 2 minutes or whatever that like what he thinks is an atheist delusion is that you can have a coherent worldview without relying on just some like presupposed principles that you can't prove, like faith principles, right?
You can have a
Like
good
like you can't have like a functional worldview like for your life. Like everyone just has like some sort of like their own dogmas, right? That they can't prove. Like for me, I think that
yeah.
playing piano is really cool. I'm not going to claim that that's something I can prove, but it's something that I take like very seriously and stuff, right? Yeah. I mean for a lot of people on the left, it's like they'll say like wokeism has become like a pseudo religion, right? So it's kind of the same thing. Like with what I said about being gay, right? Like I mean I don't know if I would say that it's evil, but I think it's kind of a weird thing to celebrate, right? Like saying we should celebrate that's not really something you can prove, you know? That's like a faith claim in a sense.
Well, I was thinking the other way where, for example, when we were talking about traditional roles, it's hard to prove that men should be masculine and female should be feminine.
I mean, I can understand that to a point.
I'm sure there's somebody who
I,
could
I mean,
prove it, but
I think there are social benefits in terms of like survival more than anything else, which is the main thing, right? Like strong men are the reason why we've like men have evolved to be strong so that we can like hunt, so that we can like kill bad guys,
Mhm.
things like that, right? And then same like women have evolved to be mothers so that we can have more people, right? Where am I going with this? What did you say again before?
why
Oh,
men
like
and women should have
yeah,
traditional.
I guess I with what I just said, I'm not sure if I could ground things beyond that, but you can also like turn the question on its head. Like like just because even if you can't like fully prove like that you should have like the traditional roles, you can hardly say that like we should like chop our dicks off and like dye our hair blue and stuff like that, right? Like I mean I think there's more of a basis for the former idea than the latter. You understand what I'm saying, right? Like
um,
a little bit.
I not really.
Well, just like with the whole like trans thing, right? Like the whole like complete rejection of gender as a
Yes,
concept,
yeah,
right?
I know what you mean.
Yeah. Like I'm saying like I mean even just for survival purposes, it makes sense that
But I
we've evolved
can't,
to believe certain things, right?
like, I see
Yeah.
what you're saying,
Yeah.
but I can't prove it.
Yeah. I mean it's just a stronger intuition more one way or the other. Like frankly, I can't
Yeah,
prove that it's wrong to kill people. It's just like an intuition that I have, right? And that we
that's
all
true
have,
too.
right? Like I don't think that there's any way you can like ground it, right?
Yeah, other than
Beyond
I think
intuition, right?
religion.
Yeah, but I mean, then you have to ground religion, right? Which like maybe you
What do you
can.
mean?
It's like you need to prove that there's some sort of true religion, right? Because like religion, in order for religion to confer morality, it has to be authoritative, right?
I feel like kind of going back to the discussion with O'Connor and
Yeah, and Shapiro,
Shapiro.
yeah, yeah,
I think they mentioned this where, or at least Ben Shapiro probably mentioned this, where even if you're atheist, or even if you don't believe in a God, acting through through religious principles would still leave society better off.
yeah. I mean, I do basically agree with that. That like it's been beneficial to the West.
Mhm.
Certainly, it's. I mean, in terms of the truth question, I'm not so sure, but I think that like I think that Christianity has benefited the West a lot, just in terms of like developments and stuff. I mean, just the idea that there's some sort of like higher truth that you can pursue, like
Mhm.
some
Yeah,
a higher good even, right? Like, cause I'm like how do you prove that something's good or bad, right? I mean, beyond like, I mean, even if you can't, at least we all sort of have these like shared intuitions, right? So if you can like be driven towards that by a force like religion, I would still say that that's good.
yeah. I was saying it to the point of grounding religion. So it doesn't, to me, like it almost doesn't even matter if you ground religion. Like you're saying, ground it in truth.
Yeah, I mean, kind of, yeah. Like as far as like concerning the social utility anyway,
Yeah.
like how beneficial it is to society. I think that like the average person isn't really thinking about like, oh, how can I like ground my worldview in like logic and whatever. Cause it's like I'm sure there's like tons of atheist people at Carleton who haven't really like taken the time to consider like, okay, why is this thing good? Why is this thing bad or whatever? Right? And like
Yeah.
if people realize on like a broad level that you can't really like ground any sort of like that it's very difficult to ground any sort of like value judgment if you can at all. Like you can't have a functional society on that basis, right? You
From
need that.
Yeah, well, I was thinking from the atheist perspective.
Mhm.
But if you can ground it through religion,
Like even if the religion itself is false, at least for social cohesion. Or sorry, continue. Yeah.
no, you can keep on going with what you said. But I was just thinking, like, I'm thinking mainly applying it to my own religion, but now I'm thinking you could also apply it to, I don't know, Scientology, for example, like a religion that
A pseudo
might not
religion.
be
Yeah. Yeah.
objectively good.
Yeah. You want to do the next question?
Sure. Yeah, that's tough.
I mean, it's like if I could press a button and make Christianity true, I would 100% do it. Like I'm not gonna lie, and we've had this
Yeah.
conversation before. I think that the people who are saying that like they think that Christianity is like evil or something, at least like I mean I'm not gonna say that like every person who's ever like acted in theory like advocating for Christianity has like always acted well in that regard, but I'm saying at least like in theory I think it's a good idea. Like if it would be
Yeah.
I would way rather be able to like be immortal and stuff. That'd be awesome. Like, you know, well, we'll see.
This one's okay. Yeah, I'll just I'm really concerned with improving myself,
Okay.
and one of the things that concerns me is addictions that I'm running into, or even just small habits that take me away from it. So for example, I find that Instagram, anything that I scroll, or even YouTube, recently it's been YouTube, where I'll just watch YouTube for entertainment for like hours, maybe like 2 hours, and I won't gain anything from that.
Yeah.
And I'll see that it hinders my time to do anything productive. Do you have, would you want, do you have anything similar to that?
I mean, I have my own problems with social media, I guess. For a long time, I
I'm
was just like, I was
surprised.
just spending too much time on Instagram. So eventually, I just like went cold turkey and deleted
Okay.
it.
That's
Now,
actually kind of common.
I still have Facebook because I like for advertising for pianists and stuff because that's like where
Okay.
all the parents are. There's lots of reels there and stuff. I definitely get get caught up scrolling a little bit too much. I've I'll often scroll like political content on YouTube. I would say that
Oh,
that's what I'll
really?
find like with the shorts. That's probably my biggest like I don't know something that I'll watch like till the end, right? Like the Trump interview and stuff. I mean that was longer, but the same sort of thing. Um, what can be useful, I guess. Honestly, there's so much stuff on YouTube, right? Of course, a lot of history videos I've found can be good. Just like watch something that'll make you smarter, right? Like not all time on YouTube has to be a waste, right?
Yeah, that's, yeah, when I say 2 hours binging on YouTube, I mean purely entertainment
Yeah,
video stuff.
just watch something else on YouTube that'll make you smarter, you know?
Yeah, easier said than done.
Okay, that's fair. Watch like oversimplified, you know, the comedy history videos,
Sure.
you know, like what sort of things? Just like scrolling, whatever.
Humorous things. I'm trying to,
I mean, I guess
just like entertainment things, like
I guess
about a game.
there's still like value in that to a point, but you know, it's
You can kind of argue everything has a value, but I wouldn't
well,
say it has a
I
value.
wouldn't do it like like it wouldn't be good to do it for like 5 hours a day or something, right? But
But I don't think,
there's value in like leisure time and stuff.
I was thinking about this
Yeah,
actually. I kind of want to get to a point where my leisure activity is always productive. So,
okay,
for example, as a leisure, I used to play video games.
yeah,
And right now, I'm seeing it more as completely unproductive. You could still argue, like, I don't know,
I
hand and
mean,
eye
it kind
coordination
of
or
is
whatever.
unproductive though, but
Yes.
yeah, I mean, there's better uses of your time for sure.
And so, what I could substitute instead would be something that I consider productive, like, I don't know, drawing or photography or any hobby that
Yeah,
I want to pursue that would give me, sure, less dopamine, but
it'll make you better in the
yeah,
long term. Yeah, I mean, reading is good.
yeah,
You
reading
know,
was one of them.
yeah. If you want to borrow some books, you know, I'll help you.
That would be cool.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. Honestly, I definitely spend like more time on my tech than I should. I've found that like between teaching and school, it just like it always gives me something to do, even if it's not like the most exciting thing in the world, you know. But yeah, oftentimes with my free time, I'll just end up scrolling for too long, you know.
Do you think there's a point in reading oh, I guess you read Shakespeare, huh? Reading fiction books.
I mean,
Or is that more entertainment?
it depends on what the fiction book is, because I would say like generally yes. With something like 1984, where it's like kind of disguised social commentary, I would say there's value in that. But if it's just like a story for a story's sake, right? That's kind of like watching a movie. It's just like a step up from that, I would say, right? So I definitely lean pretty heavily in the nonfiction direction in terms of like the things I read.
Yeah.
There were a lot of books that I liked reading when I was a kid, where it's like, they were fun, but it's, they don't like teach you new things about the world, which is more like my goal, I guess, in reading.
Hmm. Yeah. Actually, I think I've asked you this before, but I can't. Maybe I haven't. Have you read Franz Kafka?
No,
Okay.
the
That
name vaguely rings a bell.
that would be more along the lines of fiction, but
With like a message underneath.
yes.
Yeah,
Or just thought provoking.
yeah,
Because a lot of his books are basically about how pathetic his life is and miserable he is. That's about it. There's no solution to it. It's just,
okay.
here's my life. It's pathetic and miserable.
Dang.
Yeah.
That's tough. Yeah, I don't know if I would like to read that, but I'll think about it.
Yeah. Um, to me, it's very thought provoking, and it kind of, yeah, like if you read books like that, I don't see how you don't end up asking yourself, like, you have to ask yourself at one point, what is my meaning? Why am I doing the things that I'm doing?
Yeah,
What's my long term goals? Like, as you're saying, people in Carleton, as you said, are just dumb.
I mean, I'm not saying like everyone, but I'm saying
No,
like
I know what you're
it's, I
saying.
don't know, people just like accept the left wing dogmas a bit too much.
Yeah, and also they don't really think deeply about things,
Yep.
especially like their careers or their life or what they're actually doing. Would you say people our age do that
Yeah,
more?
I mean it's, yeah. I mean there definitely is like a bit of a, like some young people will there are people who are like becoming like very very kind of like traditional, right? Like people like us, right? But broadly speaking, most people are just kind of like blindly just eating up whatever they're told without asking too many questions. I mean, it just creates a bubble where like people will just like push the narrative just because they're like scared of being canceled and stuff. Like I mean, I was the same way in high school, right? I was a big lib because I thought if I wouldn't be, then like my life would be horrible, right? So pe- people need to be able to like say things without being afraid of getting canceled and stuff. And like I mean,
Yeah,
some people are gonna say really dumb things, but that's okay, right? I mean, we already have that, frankly. Like I guess there should be like less social stigma on just like saying whatever you want.
hmm,
Like even like government policy aside.
yeah. I feel like Canada's decent for freedom of expression. I feel like there's still
It, it's
parts
it's
where
it's
you
more a
can't.
cultural thing than like, I
Yeah,
mean, it's not like the government being like, if you say this, I'm gonna throw you in jail or whatever.
I
At
feel
least
like
like, yeah.
part of there is some part of it
Yeah,
like
I
that.
mean, like, I guess like trying to make laws on like hate speech or whatever. Like, I'm not
Yeah,
saying that you should like go around and be like, I want to kill all the gays or whatever. Like, I mean, like that's not nice,
but
obviously.
I don't think that should really be banned.
Yeah, I mean, I think you should
I think
basically be able to
freedom's
say
more
what.
important.
Yeah, you should be able to say whatever you want. Because the second you give some sort of government agency the power to like police speech, like
Yeah.
forget it. That's gonna be an abused power. Like that's way too much authority to give an individual.
Hmm.
People are corrupt as hell. I mean, yeah, without open dialogue, you need that for a democracy.
Yeah. I'm starting to run out of questions. Um, the last question that I had was about Bitcoin.
Okay.
What do you think of that? Because I
I mean,
saw you invested or you were
yeah,
into
we were talking about
stocks.
that. Yeah. I guess more than anything else, I just don't really understand like what gives it its underlying value. That's kind of what's prevented me from doing it. Because like I have invested in stocks, but I'm I'm a little bit hesitant about Bitcoin. I'm thinking about it, but I haven't invested in anything yet. I'm I would need to know more about like
Hmm.
what
Yeah.
makes it worth what it's worth before.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Um, have you thought of investing in anything other than stocks? Like,
I
we'll
mean,
say,
ideally, I would long term. I want to invest in like real estate,
I
get
was gonna
rental
say,
properties, but that in the short term, that's not feasible.
do you mean, oh, I asked you this before, but I can't remember your answer. Real estate in terms of actually owning the property?
Yeah, and then I'm like getting renters to pay the mortgage, ideally, right?
Have you considered the risks of just squatters, for example? So people that originally pay the rent, we'll say,
And then they
and
just
then all of a sudden they don't. And since the court is so backed up with cases,
yeah.
they'll just sit on it until it comes to them, and then they'll just leave the day after.
I mean, honestly, not too much, but
Okay.
I haven't really considered that. It's more of like a long term like
Sure. Yeah.
idea out there, you know. But I guess I'll. That's a good thing to think about, though. We'll have to try
There's
that. Yeah,
there's a lot of issues that
I
I've
can
thought
imagine
about.
that people do that, though. Yeah, like,
Well, not only
and I
that,
mean, the second you're trying to evict them, they're not going to pay the rent, obviously, right? Like,
yeah. And then there's also like issues where they just full on destroy the property and you can't do anything about it. Well, like you you could try to do something about it, but if they just leave,
yeah,
if they just in an extreme case, leave the country,
yeah,
just like live in the US for the rest of their life.
yeah. You can't do
There's no
anything.
repercussions.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you can't get like rental insurance or whatever. No, I don't
Um,
know how that all works, but
I don't know how that works either.
okay.
But um,
I mean,
yeah,
I
like
guess you have to be picky with your tenants then.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. But even still, you're gonna run into tenants that are like, especially if you own a lot of
Yeah,
properties.
yeah, exactly. Like you can't like veto. Well, you can't be like super picky about every single person.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't thought about that too much though. I guess is the short answer.
Yeah. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about?
I'm good. I think. Yeah.
Okay. I think I ran through all my questions.
Okay.
Yeah. And we're at almost 125 minutes or
Okay.
1 hour and 25 minutes. Yeah, that honestly didn't feel that long.
Are you still recording?
Yeah, I'm still recording.
Okay. No, it's good. You know, just because I mean, yeah. Oftentimes we'll just like watch like YouTube videos and stuff where it's like, yeah, you think about the ideas, but that's different from like talking to a real person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Watch like philosophy videos. You know, those will help you.
Specifically by
I,
Mick, what's his name, man? Mick Connor? Mick Connor.
Alex O'Connor. I
Oh,
mean, he
O'Connor,
has some
right.
good takes, but a lot of his older videos are a little bit like silly. But he's very good with when he like interviews people, just kind of like being like level and just like asking questions, right? Which lots of people can't do that, right? Like,
I saw he mediated the interview with Jordan Peterson and Richard Dawkins, I think.
okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow. You know what? I'll have to watch that like soon.
I think it'll be a little disappointing because the thing is, at least what I was looking in the comments, the way they
Yeah.
described it was basically Jordan Peterson. The comment said specific, I'll see if I can recall it. It was something like Richard Dawkins says, or no, O'Connor will bring a topic up. Richard Dawkins will say, um, this is, I'm trying to think of a specific topic. Like, we should have children. Um, it's good for it's good for people. No, okay. So it's good for the social. I'm just butchering it at this point.
It's like socially beneficial in some way.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then Peterson will say something like, that doesn't concern me. I'm concerned more on the, I guess, metaphysical
Yeah.
level. And then Richard Dawkins will rebuttal with, that doesn't concern me. I'm more concerned about the practical level.
Okay.
So it ends up just being a complete mismatch in frequencies.
Yeah. I mean, Jordan Peterson definitely, like we were saying with religion, he'll dress up his language in a lot of like metaphors and stuff, so
Yes.
it's hard to understand what he's trying to say. So I mean, actually, that would be an interesting debate though with Dawkins and Peterson, because Dawkins is like a hardcore atheist, and then I mean, Jordan Peterson's kind of like all sorts of things, but I think he's like sort of Christian maybe, but it's hard to say exactly.
Yeah.
But just like in terms of the way, like the comments he's made in public anyway that I've heard.
I've heard
Um,
he has his own church. I don't
really?
know how true that is, but I've heard.
Okay. Maybe.
Yeah.
Because yeah, I mean, Alex O'Connor, he leans more towards atheism, but he like I mean, you like we were talking about, he's good at like kind of keeping things chill, right? Not like being a jerk in debates. I mean, even with his conversation with Ben Shapiro, it's very like topic centered, not so much like just being like, oh, I hate you, you're stupid, right?
Yeah. He was really objective.
Which I mean, like even if you're wrong, I can still appreciate like trying to think rationally, right? I mean, he does have some good points. There we go. Okay, do you want to wrap up now? You want to keep going?
Sure. Yeah. All right.
Just aim off. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I've never used something like this before.
Hello, 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 hello.
Are you gonna be like uploading it to just like a private channel?
No, it's gonna be public.
Okay. That's cool.
Okay.
I feel like I'm intellectual right now.
Yes. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to think about things.
It was, I think it was like an hour and 30.
Okay, that's good.
Very good line. I'm honestly surprised I ran out of questions.
I mean, we had a lot to talk about, but
Yeah. Because usually I have more questions than